We have 610 drop voltage. We swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. The diode is good. Let's check the other one. Here we have 670 drop voltage, nothing in the multimeter. Let's check the last one. 600 drop voltage, we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. All these Zener diodes are good. Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to test all types of SMD diodes using the multimeter. Step by step, we're gonna see how to test standard diodes, Zener diodes, double diodes, and much more. So let's get started. So we're gonna test first the standard diodes, this kind of diodes that we find near to the power jack. As you can see, we have here its reference D1005, as you can see. Here we have the cathode, and here we have plus the anode. So here, as you can see in this laptop motherboard, this is a standard diode that we find near to the power jack. Okay? So here we have the cathode, this white mark or white line, and here we have the anode. So the anode is connected to the ground always, and the cathode connected to the power rail, to the 19 volt in the power jack. That's why this diode is a protection diode. So now let's test this diode using the multimeter. So let's put the black probe in the cathode and the red probe in the anode. And let's see what we will get in the multimeter. Normally we should get about 700-600 drop voltage, as you can see. So this diode is a good diode. It's not shorted. Okay? So if I swap the probes, I should not get anything in the multimeter. We should just get one, as you can see. So this protection diode is a good diode. So this is the power jack. Near to the power jack, we should find a protection diode. Here we don't have the protection diode, but in the back of the power jack, we will find protection diodes. Here we have the power jack. As you can see, we have two diodes near to the power jack. Those diodes are protection diodes. So let's test right now these two SMD diodes using the multimeter. So we're gonna put the red probe in the anode and the black probe in the cathode. We get already about 119. Okay? If we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. This is a good diode. Let's test the second one using the same working principle. Always the black probe of the multimeter in the cathode and the red probe in the anode. The same reading, about 160. If we swap the probes, we should get one in the multimeter. The diode also, the second diode also is serviceable. A failed diode is a diode that gives a short or a continuity when you test it. Near to the power jack you will find protection diodes, and also near to the battery connector. As you can see, this is basically the battery connector. Here we have a protection diode. Here also we have another motherboard. So this is the power jack. Here, this is basically the power jack circuit. Here we have the protection diode, as you can see, D21. This is the protection diode. So in every motherboard you will find protection diodes, SMD diodes near to the power jack. Okay? So the cathode is always connected to the power rail of the power jack. Remember, if you like this type of content, just let me know in the comments and I will do more videos about this content. So let's test the diode using the multimeter. So the red probe of the multimeter always in the anode and the black probe in the cathode. So let's test. So always the anode is connected to the ground, as you can see. The anode is connected to the ground. We have zero in the multimeter. Okay? And the cathode must be connected to the power rail. 0 in the multimeter, as you can see. Here we have two red cables, means two power lines, as you can see. Okay, that's why we call this kind of diode protection diode. So if there is any high tension, this diode will blow out and will be shorted, and then it will protect the whole motherboard. So always the red probe of the multimeter in the anode and the black probe in the cathode, we should get a reading. We get a 660 drop voltage. This is basically good diode. And of course, if we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter, as you can see. This is a good diode. If you get a short or a continuity or buzzer, means the diode is failed. You should automatically replace it. Remember that always near to the power jack or the battery connector in the laptop motherboard, you will find SMD diodes, exactly the protection diodes. Okay, as you can see, this kind of diodes. Here we have D, as you can see. Okay, and of course, always the anode will be connected to the ground and the cathode to the power rail in order to protect the motherboard. As you can see here near to the battery connector, we have this diode. Also, this is a protection diode. Here we have its cathode and here we have the anode. For this motherboard also, the diode near to the power jack, and also for the battery connector, we should find a diode near to it. In the back of this battery connector, we have the diode, as you can see, PD2. Okay, so the reference for diodes can be D or PD. Okay, so here we have another motherboard, as you can see. We have the diode here, the diode for the power jack, and for the battery connector, we have its protection diode, as you can see. So let's test right now these diodes, as you can see, these small SMD diodes, as you can see. We're gonna test it using the multimeter, of course. Here we have the cathode and here the anode. Cathode here, anode, okay? And over here we have cathode and anode, okay? Always the multimeter should be in the diode option, and then the red probe in the anode and the black probe of the multimeter in the cathode. And we should get a reading in the multimeter. So let's check. As you can see, about 600 drop voltage. The diode is good. No short, no continuity. Of course, if we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. Let's check the second one. Black probe into cathode, red probe into anode, we get a reading. We swap the probes. Nothing in the multimeter. We have 1 in the multimeter. Automatically the diode is good. Let's check the two using the same working principle. Black probe into cathode, red probe into anode, about 570 drop voltage. Good diode. Automatically, if we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. So these 3 diodes are serviceable. So please remember, if you like this kind of content, just let me know in the comments below, and I will do more and more videos about how to test SMD component, including diode, transistors, MOSFETs, and so on. Here basically we have a motherboard for a hard disk drive. Okay, so this is basically a computer hard disk drive. So our purpose here is to test these 2 diodes. As you can see, always in the computer hard disk drive you will find 2 diodes. One diode for 12 volt and the other for 5 volt power rail. Okay, so we're gonna use the same working principle of how to test SMD diodes using the multimeter, and we're gonna check whether these 2 diodes are good or bad. And so of course we're gonna use the multimeter and we're gonna select the diode option in the multimeter. Always we will work with the diode option. So the black probe into cathode automatically and the red probe of the multimeter into anode, we should get, as you can see, a reading 580 drop voltage. So if we swap the probes, we should not get anything in the multimeter. Automatically the diode is serviceable. A bad diode is a diode that gives a continuity in the multimeter, a zero or a buzzer. So let's check the second one. Black probe into cathode, red probe into anode, reading, as you can see, 440 drop voltage. If we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter, as you can see. This is a rule. Now we're gonna pass to test the Zener diodes, as you can see. So basically all these diodes are Zener diodes. Always will find plus means the anode and the cathode in the other side, as you can see. Here we have D, as you can see, D1000. This is basically the reference for diodes. You will always find D or PD. So always we're gonna use the multimeter, of course, and we're gonna select the diode option, and let's get started. Here we have a drop voltage about 690. If we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. Good diode. Let's check the second one. The red probe in the anode or plus side, the black probe in the cathode, we get a reading. This one also, we get a reading. Okay, if we swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. Good diode. Good diode. If we swap the probes, one means nothing in the multimeter. The same for others. We have 610 drop voltage. We swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. The diode is good. Let's check the other one. Here we have 670 drop voltage, nothing in the multimeter. Let's check the last one. 600 drop voltage. We swap the probes, nothing in the multimeter. All these Zener diodes are good. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't find in these motherboards any failed diode. Now let's pass to double diode testing, double SMD diode testing, as you can see here. This is basically diodes, not MOSFET, not transistor. As you can see, we have D here, means diode, okay? These three are diodes, okay? 3 terminal diodes or double diodes. I'm going to show you how to test it using the multimeter, of course. Here, as you can see, we have Q 1030. Q, this is basically MOSFETs and transistors. Okay? We have also Q here. Q. So always pay attention. Do not confuse between double diodes and transistors and MOSFETs. So let's test right now this double diodes. We're gonna put the red probe here in the first pin, and we should find two diodes, 2 drop voltage. This is the first diode, 580 drop voltage. This is the second diode. This is good. Let's check the second one. Here we have the first diode. Here we have the second diode. First diode, second diode. So these 3 diodes are serviceable. So if we swap the probes, we should not get anything in the multimeter. So please let me know if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to let me know in the comment below, and I will do more and more videos. And of course, don't forget to like the video.